Hello everyone, I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Brandon.
And today I'm speaking in this absolutely horrid British accent because we just got through watching American Hustle, a film about people acting unlike their real selves and being people that they aren't really. And now that I have offended all of our English viewers, I'm going to stop talking like this, and Brandon is going to tell us a little bit about American Hustle. Brandon.
Hello, Captain Logan.
Hello!
That's right. American Hustle follows a group of con artists in the 70s through their cons and eventual, say, nabbing by the authorities that be. And to this point, the authorities are requiring them to work for them because, let's be frank about this, there's no way to cultivate this type of expertise in the field without breaking a few laws.
How did you feel about the movie, Brandon?
This movie was a delightful, absolutely delightful look at some events that may have actually happened, as the film points out to us in the beginning. I particularly liked the screen time for that.
Yep.
It had a, at the same time it had a very heavy atmosphere, it had a very fun atmosphere about it. There were some lighthearted moments, there were some very serious moments in this movie. All in all, I enjoyed the character development that we got to see, including the main relationships in this movie. It was very interesting to see what was real, what was a con, how those were spun into other cons of the same nature. And I really thought that this movie was going to be about art thieves.
Yeah.
And it totally surprised me. It just took me in another direction. I was pleasantly surprised. This movie had my heart stopped at least one moment. I wasn't breathing. I didn't know what was going to happen next. And because I'd heard so much about the main characters here, played by Bradley Cooper, Jennifer Lawrence, Amy Adams, and with the exception of Christian Bale, most of them are fairly new stars.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Considering we did get a couple of old stars that I had no idea were going to be in this movie. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. There was a lot of... oh, yes, as a matter of fact, I should also say, how does this movie make me feel?
Right.
This movie made me feel as though I need to go and bribe a few politicians about some things.
Oh, all right.
Yes, this movie had intrigue, definitely, as well as a lot of subterfuge, just in the nature of the biz of the con.
But it's also hilarious.
It's hilarious in points, and I really felt for some of these characters. Jeremy Renner as the mayor... scratching for his name at the moment, I can't remember it, but as the mayor, I really felt for him and his for the people attitude and mentality. And you can see Christian Bale's character try to come to grips with what he's doing to this guy. Mm-hmm. And he really, you can see he's got problems with it without him explicitly stating it.
He's the only, to that point in the film, he's the only authentic person.
Absolutely.
That's there.
Absolutely.
And helps Christian Bale realize, and I like that they're not in your face about this, but in a very natural way, helps him realize and realize an appreciation for telling the truth. And
absolutely.
Being a real person.
And being the person that he has never been. We see a little bit of the early character and why he is the way he is, due to his own father's business, which he now has a few left of, and he's running, and that's how
he's... those flashbacks, so that was really funny.
Yes, this movie had an interesting pacing. We discussed this a little bit. I think you said something that had more of a pacing of a 70s style movie. Let's get into that after after we finish flipping our signs.
Absolutely. Flip your sign, and then I'll go ahead and do mine.
I am feeling it. For sure on this one. This is one I would definitely recommend seeing in the theater, and I would definitely recommend seeing a second time. Not necessarily in the theater, but buy it on Blu-ray, DVD, 4K, whatever you want.
Brandon, this movie made me feel like doing a British accent for a minute, and then just being myself. I really enjoyed this one a lot, and it has an immense amount of style and plenty of substance also. This is a movie set in the 70s, but it's not trying to just straight up be a 70s film. and then in places it is. I thought it was really interesting how they balanced. They did this nice balancing act there.
Sure.
Where you know, when the movie opens, you get these really cool logos of these companies that look like they're from the 70s, and I'm pretty sure that a couple of those companies didn't exist yet, so they had to make up logos for them. I'm pretty sure that's what was going on there. Yeah. And I jumping into it, I really kind of thought that what we were going to see was a movie that was trying to be in the 70s style of, and especially if these kinds of pseudo erotic rated R dramas,
right?
Where it's somewhat choppy editing, it's somewhat like a gritty filmmaking, and I kind of thought it was gonna somewhat look like that, and from the trailers, they were so choppy in the scenes, in the little snippets of the scenes that they showed you in the trailers, that it was kind of hard to tell exactly what the style of the film was going to be, and I think that by the end of the day, what they made was a contemporary movie that is a period piece set in that time, but then doing some homaging so that to some of that 70s filmmaking, especially in the way that they're doing the editing, in such a way where it allows us to like it messes with our expectations pretty hard.
Absolutely.
In doing it that way. So I feel like it's not a movie that's trying to make us feel like we're in the 70s. It's not a movie that's trying to make us feel like we're watching a movie made in the 70s.
Right.
So much as doing a little bit of that homaging. And so ultimately what I think they ended up accomplishing with that is they made a movie that is contemporary enough to remind us, this is my reading on it, just how much the world hasn't really changed.
Right, and all of its changes, there's still things that are the same.
Exactly, and so like they're drawing attention to a lot of the goofiness of the styles, the fashion style of the 70s,
exactly,
and all that stuff,
and the decorations of the 70s.
Yeah, and it's a neat period. I think it's really poignant to do it here because it's all about people being fake.
Yes.
And people and our main characters, especially Christian Bale, you've got a character there who is very much of the time that he lives in, who you could very easily see that character transported to present day, transformed.
Absolutely.
And he doesn't have the goofy 70s comb over and all of that stuff, but he'd be by and large the exact same character. This kind of stuff is going on now, and I'm not just talking about con jobs. I'm talking about people being false.
Yes.
I was reminded, and I guess I've had a couple movies like this lately. This is a big topic right now. This reminded me of Don John all over the place.
Okay.
Because if you think about it, it's dealing with a lot of the same things. It's dealing with being fake in order to not get what you want, or in order to get what you want. It's dealing with pretending to be one way and not being true to yourself to the point where you don't even know who you are. And that was the character arc that Don John went through. I feel like that's the character arc that all of our main characters go through in this to various degrees.
There's also a little bit similar to Don John, treating women like objects. There's plenty of
you're right.
I've got a woman on the side type of thing. Sure. And they're all playing each other.
What I loved about that is that the women might be somewhat treated as objects by the men, sort of, but I feel like that's kind of just the day and age. I think that ultimately none of the men in this movie really look at their women as objects. They look at them as just more people to control. They look at everybody like
that's
objects.
right.
And I really like that because the thing is the women do it too.
They do.
And
it shows in this movie.
This is such an involved and intricate story, and I think the movie has a really good handle. It's very confident in delivering this really dense story to us without us falling off or getting confused, with the exception of the ending. I felt like this is one of the only complaints I have. When I got to the end, I was having a bit of a tough time keeping up because of the nonlinear storytelling, and that is my biggest problem with this. If I had to pick a favorite thing and a least favorite thing, my favorite thing in this is probably this is a very odd thing to say, specifically the female casting. I was so impressed with Jennifer Lawrence in this. She steps right out of herself. I've never seen seen her do anything like this. She's been really on her game lately. Well, she's always good, but I mean, like, we've seen her play so many different roles just this last year, and Amy Adams too, and like Amy Adams,
she's really stepping up her game. I
think so too. People have been enamored with her. I hadn't yet until this, and like I liked her okay in Her. I thought she was serviceable there. I thought she was fine. Saw her in this. I thought she absolutely tore it up. Once again, both of these actresses completely stepping outside of themselves. I feel like this is a neat irony. I feel like we're seeing a movie that's all about people pretending to be somebody else, people stepping outside of themselves, and the movie talks a lot about people not just conning other people, but conning themselves. I love that.
Absolutely.
People lying to themselves. So
they can believe, they sell themselves their own story.
Exactly, yeah, and these con artists are able to validate what they do by saying, well, everybody does this to some degree or another, and so it doesn't matter that it's illegal. Everyone has to make somebody believe something that isn't true, and we all have to make ourselves believe things that aren't true. It's about identity. It's about wearing masks.
Exactly.
And you know how much I love that.
Well, that absolutely. Sort of thing. And the actors themselves are by nature wearing masks.
And that's the irony, is that they're doing such a good job of it. You've got a movie about they're entirely believable.
Well, that's what I was saying. Jeremy Renner's character, I totally felt for him.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, please, no.
I was, like I said, I was not a big fan of some of the linear storytelling or the non-linear storytelling. In places it works okay. I didn't like that we did the kind of standard present-day gimmicky thing. It can work sometimes. I've not seen it done very many times well where I liked it. Where the movie opens, it does the in medias res thing, but not in the sophisticated way. Where because starting a movie or starting a story in the action just means not having a bunch of setup. It doesn't mean that you have to start your movie with okay, we're gonna go like 20 minutes into the movie and set up these characters so that will make you get excited about the big crazy stuff that's going to happen, and then we jump back and give you all the background. I feel like this movie should have, this is just my opinion, I feel like this movie should have opened with all these people meeting each other for the first time and just go through. I think I would have been just as captivated as I was. So that's the thing I didn't care for. Otherwise, though, I'm definitely feeling it on this. This movie is gorgeous. It's fantastic.
It is it's a fun romp through something that may or may not have happened in the 70s.
Yeah, it opens with this, I'm going to give this away, it opens with this great blurb. You and I have talked a lot about biopics.
Right.
And about how, and this is always my opinion. I almost said this just as fact. My opinion about biopics,
your opinions are fact.
No,
they're not. Gold.
As I've said before, a good biopic doesn't necessarily show all the facts exactly as they were, especially because you don't always know all the facts. You have to embellish and make some stuff up to fill in the gaps. It creates a great fiction out of something that actually happened. What I really love about about how this movie opens, it gives us this blurb that says some of these things may have happened.
Yeah.
And
it doesn't over-sensationalize anything.
But let me get back to this. The audience cracked up
yes.
when we saw that sign.
Absolutely.
I thought that was fantastic. It doesn't matter after they give you that if it's sensationalized.
That's true.
It doesn't matter because they are giving you a fiction, and what they're saying is, I mean, I could totally analyze this. They're giving you what the themes of the film are all the way up front before you've seen a single character walk on frame, because they're making a fiction that is not fully truth, based on some things that really happened, and they are giving you that up front, and then they tell you a story about all these characters that are incapable of giving you anything up front.
Right.
That's good storytelling.
And they had an attention to detail of the excess of the scene, as well as the characters that you're looking at. You're seeing more than just the characters. You're seeing how they're dressed, you're seeing the location that they're in, you're seeing how the scene is dressed.
I feel like it really captures the absurdity of that period at the same time as, because let's face it, it was a really absurd period in certain ways, right? But at the same time as they're, I mean, like they kind of have these characters just wearing these things and they're not thinking anything of it. It's not tongue-in-cheek in that way, but there are all these elaborate costumes, all these costume changes, all these really hideous.
It's indicative of the period,
and right. But what I'm saying is, I thought that they had as much reverence for the period as they do kind of this kind of joking nature about how silly it was. All they have to do is be authentic, and it's already hilarious.
Indeed,
I love that. That's great. But at the same time as you're seeing all of these goofy outfits and things, you're hearing some of the best music from the period.
Absolutely. And
that's where a lot of the reverence comes in. I also really liked, by the way, how the music helped in terms of storytelling. They did. I won't give anything away, but they did a lot of really neat choices, and there are a lot of places where the music is driving the film, not just pacing wise,
Absolutely.
but actually has stuff to do sometimes thematically with the scene, sometimes just it is part of the scene.
You don't feel that it's dragging anything down either.
You very rarely hear this many popular songs in a film. I mean, I want to say there were 12, 15. I mean, there were a lot of songs in this one.
There's something that I want to revisit, though. You mentioned about the framing and the shots in this being eloquently done.
Yeah.
Something that you mentioned in the theater, and I too had noticed a similar thing, was some of the wallpaper.
Yeah.
There was a wallpaper you mentioned specifically to me. There was a wallpaper I'd seen before you mentioned wallpaper that I had been all over. There's this wallpaper that literally looked like pistons in an engine to me. And I could imagine them cranking around, but I was like, this wallpaper is perfect for this time frame.
Yeah.
I've seen it in relatives' houses, this type of thing, just this outlandish wallpaper. You wouldn't put up these days.
You look at some of the styles and you wonder what the standard was. It seemed like as long as it didn't match, it went together.
Standard hilarious.
Yeah. One of the things I really enjoyed just personally watching this movie were some of the recognizable actors that were doing kind of bit parts or smaller roles. I noticed a number of really cool people I haven't seen in a really long time. One of them was the Admiral from Star Trek Insurrection. He plays an elderly politician in this. He's very briefly in a couple of scenes, but I was racking my brain. Who is that? Holy crap! I
can't believe you pulled that out.
Holy crap! That guy got old. And then there was
as Star Trek actors do.
Great. And then there was you won't know this, but the wife of the
mayor?
Of the mayor was, thank you, the wife of the mayor was played by the, again, you won't know this, but she was played by the female cop in the first 2 seasons of Angel.
Okay.
And I haven't seen her in anything since then. I'm sure she's been in stuff, but like I was so surprised, and again, racking my brain going, I know her, holy crap.
Well, she looked really
That's
familiar
who that
to me, but I couldn't
Maybe you've seen her something else, yeah.
Well, here's the thing. It's funny you should say that because I was like, this isn't that lady, but she's reminding me of the cop from Reno 911. But I'm like, it's not that lady. I don't think it is, but now that you say she is a cop, I'm like, well, that's an interesting coincidence.
Isn't that hilarious? Yeah.
Yes, but she looked very familiar to me. I'll have to look her up.
I mean, I guess we've talked a lot performances already. Christian Bale always throws it out of the park, or hits it out of the park. I guess if you threw it out of the park, it wouldn't be a home run because you're not supposed to throw the ball; you're supposed to hit it. Christian Bale has such a history of putting on or taking off a bunch of weight.
Absolutely.
For roles. And have you ever seen The Machinist?
I've seen parts of it.
He had to drop down to like
skinny.
120, 130 pounds for that.
That must have been difficult.
Yeah.
Heck.
Here, he had to get himself completely out of shape. He's got a pot belly in this. You can tell
he
it's his.
The part.
And he is so into completely embodying roles like this. I'm always impressed with him. But this is one of the cooler roles for him that I've seen in a while. People putting on fake accents doing a really good job with those.
That's a lot of weight considering the last Batman movie.
Yeah, good call. And I'm sure he's done a couple things since then.
Oh yeah. My goodness.
What else haven't we touched on? Just thematically, like I said, this is a movie that really makes you appreciate a guy who, and I mean, like, again, multiple characters are having this, but I really latched on to Christian Bale in this. I found myself really appreciating this guy who is really kind of out of touch with his feelings and out of touch with reality. And it's interesting because he thinks he completely gets the human condition, and he's able to read people so well. He's able to look through people, but he doesn't get himself. himself.
Exactly.
And it's a lot of fun to watch him finally get an authentic friend and have no idea what to do with that.
It was a tragic story.
There is this wonderful scene, and I won't go into exactly what happens in it, where he befriends the mayor. And like I said, the mayor is the...
Well, the mayor befriends him, really.
Yeah, what I was going to say, the mayor is the only authentic character, as I said earlier, in the film. He's the only person that's not pretending, and so it's really sad to see him get conned, and he starts befriending Christian Bale's character, and at one point gives him a present for no other reason than because he likes him. And Christian Bale does not understand that. That's not within his worldview. It's not his ideology. He doesn't.
But it changes him.
It changes him. Yeah, and this is really great traditional storytelling. I was deeply impressed with it. One thing I was surprised by, given that it's done in, like I said, a pseudo 70s style, but also it's pretty modern, all at the same time, is that it has that kind of erotic flavor about it because of the time period that we're dealing with, and the kind of over sexualization of women, and you have to play with that in this period. You also have to play with that in this film because it's all about people manipulating people, and that's a way that really attractive women can do what Christian Bale does.
Absolutely.
Christian Bale can't fall back on his looks; he has to.
But the women can.
But the women can, and so you get a lot of that. And there's a lot of really sensual scenes. I thought it was handled as tastefully as it could have been handled.
Sure.
I was a little surprised to see no nudity in this film. If this had been made in the 70s, there would have been a lot of it. And I was a little bit surprised by that. And I guess maybe pleasantly surprised. I could have seen them doing it either way. I guess they make up for that with as much, if not more, profanity than you would have had in the period. This is the way these people talk. It's totally understandable. Well, anyway, thanks as always for watching us review a new movie. And Brandon and I will be back with you once again next week for another one. We're kind of catching up on some stuff right now. I know this movie's been out a couple weeks, or maybe even, 3 weeks now. This one's been out a while. We have been debating about maybe going to see Wolf of Wall Street. That might happen, but I know we got RoboCop coming up pretty soon. We're definitely going to do that. By the way, RoboCop is likely to have a spoiler podcast along with it too. I'm not sure yet, but that's likely to happen because Eric is a huge RoboCop fan. By the way, quick plug: Eric and I are going to be putting out for you here in the next few days a commentary on the original RoboCop, and then I'll be doing a rewind on the original RoboCop sometime here in the next 3 weeks. And so anyway, make sure in the comments to write down whatever movie you think you'd like us to review next week, or anything coming out in the coming weeks. We'd love to know what our viewers are interested in hearing us talk about, and your votes will definitely help us determine what we go see. And anyway, we'll see you again next week. I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Brandon.
See you later. Do